So I really want to express my gratitude to all of you that you want to spend your time and your energy to this coming together and to this opportunity of sharing and also being together in this focusing way that is such an, for me, such a dear way of sharing presence. So I really want to thank you for being devoted to this way of living also, because it's a way of living to make space for this kind of interaction. So having said that, I just invite you to take some pause for setting the stage here and now. And for me, it's always helpful that I do this with putting my hand on my heart, as you might see that I'm doing. Because just this gesture is for me a very important reminder to really connect to my essence. My essence that I can sense, that I can really be aware of its living presence inside of me. So this living presence inside of yourself, take your time to connect to that essence in your heart and to give yourself a heartfelt welcome. And you can also sense if your heart feels like an open space to just being aware of this unconditional loving presence. That in you, that it's much more and much bigger than what you might think you are. And I always take some time to just be aware that this inner presence is grounded, has its roots in my bodily felt connection with Mother Earth. So that's for me very important to be aware about my grounding, my being part of nature. And I also make this connection in the other direction by being aware that I'm part of this immense universe where I don't know what it is, but where I can sense that there is my source, my resource, being, of loving, of creation, living. So take your time to really feel this being connected to, and I make this, I don't know the word in English, but it's like a circle like this, and then a circle that goes to the center of the earth, and my heart is like the edge, the center. And for my heart, I'm deeply in touch with this bodily felt experience of grounding and this in infinite space. Okay. And then you can sense whether you also can make connection to the people being in this workshop. That also this is a circle of persons being connected with a loving presence. This is for me not just an exercise. This is something that's for me very helpful to really remind myself that this is what I always have at hand, that's always nearby, that I can connect to this loving presence, that I can sense inside me, and that I'm part of something that's much bigger than this small human being. So, and when I address that, that's also because I really want to emphasize that living forward is about this never-ending, continuing movement that never stops. Whatever crisis we are in, whatever difficult situation we are in, whatever the darkness is that we feel stuck. This is for me always, always, always available. And this is for me always my resource to find the light and to nourish my hope that whatever happens, something new will come out. And this is where I have this sensitivity for how to find these keys for transformation. And for me, there are several important keys, as you could read also about in the manuscript I made available. But the most important thing is that you can experience what works for you as your keys, and that you can really sense in your body this transformational power that's yours. It's really yours. And very often it's just a way of opening up, letting go your old ideas or your old concepts or your expectations of what you think you should happen, letting go of that and receiving the possibility of something new that can come when you are ready for this transformational move. So, of course, I could say a lot to start with, but I trust you could read what I tried to express in my manuscript. And what's most important is how this resonates in you, and that you feel very welcome by sharing what resonates in you, and we might develop something more from where you have a question or where you want to just say something about what touched you or what intrigues you or what moved you or whatever. I really welcome every one of you to participate in our encounter and our exchange. So please.
So it was very tangible when you made this circle that goes out above and all the way to the earth. It was beautiful and tangible. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And when you say this, Katerina, I think it's always about finding a connection that helps you to be aware of this loving presence or this nourishment or this inspiration. And this can come from many sides. This can come from deep from the earth, from Mother Nature, by feeling how you are part of nature and how your body is a natural process and not a fact. Our bodies are processes, like everything in nature is a process. So the connection can come there as something, that helps you to find some new life. Or the connection can come just by how you relate to your inner sense of being, that you can sense, that you can let go of, that you can let go something of your identity that was so important for you to feel safe, and that you can sense inside that, when you can let go that old pattern of yourself, that you can arrive in a deeper layer where you arrive more in your purest inner being. Or it can also come from the connection with another human being, that this person, the connection with that person brings in like a life giving connection, that this just another person being there with you with his or her loving presence, that can be life-changing. And it can come from there where you have your connection with the mystery of life, and you can sense, this is beyond everything I could imagine. So these are like, I could say very simple, these are 4 ways that are different ways where you can find your specific resource, what helps you in that moment. And also, this can change from situation to situation. But it's important that you remind yourself that you have these resources at your that they are available for you. That the only thing you have to do is to open up, to receive, and to let the transformation happen. Very often there is a resistance to the transformation because we hold on to the old pattern.
And as you spoke of opening up, you moved back a little bit. So this opening up has a kind of stepping back quality to make space for what comes.
yeah, it also has something of surrender. Surrender to the new life that tries to come true.
Mm. There's a quality, Katerina, you just modeled that so beautifully, somatically. It's a clearing a space. I've done a lot of this kind of practice in a context that's from different practice communities than focusing. So I love, Mia, your language of making this for in a focusing vocabulary. So there's a clearing a space that's really about, you know, our Western consciousness of how we organize our sense of self to just say, oh yeah, here I am, earth below, sky above. And as we listen, and you, as you said, that modeled that so beautifully, oh, something else comes online. And it's a kind of intersubjectivity in which we feel our own sense of ourselves as subject grows deeper. And then I love that you brought in the horizontal, and then how we connect with one another has more has more resource in it. If I try, for example, in this other ways I've been working, if I try to be helpful from the place of my limited self, there's only so much I have available. Whereas if I meet another with this,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's so beautiful that you mentioned it's clearing the space, and it is more. It's also not just clearing the space and opening up, it's also this interactional thing that you welcome interaction that brings something new, that brings more than what you could experience in this closed, fixed reality. And whatever you choose as what works for you as an interaction, that depends on the situation. Like I can choose the weather as where I interact with the storm that's going on, and I can choose that to interact with what's going on in nature. I can choose many things, but it's not just opening my space, but it's also receiving what I'm giving a meaning in the moment also. Because, for example, when I interact with the storm, the weather, it's not just a fixed idea about what does it mean, storm. It's this interaction with my experience in the moment, where the meaning is developing. And that's always new. That's never the same as it was yesterday. Same with in this interaction with yourself. There's always more than what was there yesterday. It's always somewhat different. So that's also why I emphasize we tend to think about a situation or as a fact, also or body or age. We tend to think as this is a fact, while we aren't facts. A situation isn't a fact. A situation is always a process. And in the process is always this sensitivity for this developing reality and this developing meaning. Please feel free to come in.
I love that receiving
receiving is at the heart of being aware of the process, of participating in the great big process of evolution, because we always think of the part of it as what we do, and the receiving and the doing are one interaction.
Yeah, there is what I emphasize as this paradoxical qualities in this deep understanding of paradoxical reality of life. There is never this opposite. Like there is no opposite between receiving and doing. They are interconnected. So, and we tend a lot to polarize, to make these different parts. Well, life doesn't work like that. When you make it separate parts and you polarize it, there is no more this flow of energy. The flow of energy or living forward always supposes this interaction between these different poles and not polarizing it.
May I ask a question?
Of course. You're welcome.
Thank you. So this seems like it's for people who are already there or almost there or some version of being there where you are.
What do you mean by there?
Okay, who already kind of get it. And it's sort of like a reinforcement of it with an expansion of it. But many, many people are way far away from it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, thank you for your.
It's a little bit like in being in a church and a priest is saying, we all know about, Jesus and, but what if you're sitting there and I don't know, what would you do if somebody is just not there at all?
Okay. I love that reflection that you make. Because for me, it's not about being there and not being there. For me, it's about stages in awareness. Like also literally our body has stages in development. So also our understanding of life is developing our awareness about life. And personally, I try, I can't say I'm always successful in that, but I try to not make this difference of they are there and I am here. I just try to be present and making connection to whatever someone's level of consciousness is, or whatever awareness someone is in. And I try to stay out of some kind of judgment in this is better and that's not so good. And I say I try because of course it's so comfortable to be in to be in relationship with someone who shares a level of awareness that makes the connection much easier. And at the same time, for me, it's like an invitation. When I am in a relationship with someone that has like this focusing, what's that for bullshit? Well, for me, it's an invitation to connect to where is in that person, in that situation, something I can relate to. And then that is for me this huge invitation of how can I be present with this person, this situation, in a way that where I see some light, that I can bring it in without overpowering the other person with too much, but really tuning in to the level of awareness that the person can connect with.
For me as a therapist, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say that for me as a therapist, I think it would be, let's say that I have a teeny bit of light and their darkness. This is ridiculous binaries, but just heuristically. I think my task would be to really enter their darkness. In other words, I go the distance.
I wouldn't say I would really enter their darkness. I would say,
right,
I'm with them in
right,
their experience with darkness. I'm with them, but I don't
right.
lose my connection with this inner light that I experience in myself. And I see it as my task to take care of not letting, not losing my sense of my inner light. And to be with the other person in a way that can be very slowly, that I just give my loving presence, that I just help them to support, to be in the darkness, and that they know someone is present with me. That's already for me a way of making connection where the person is. And that's so different from having some kind of judgment, like, oh, this person is so in the darkness. So that's why I try to stay out of making these differences, like these persons don't know about focusing. For me, it's more like, okay, in this moment, I have something very important that helps me to stay with that person in the darkness that person is in. And that helps me to not become overwhelmed by the darkness where the person is in. But when I take care of myself, I can't live if I'm constantly in companionship of people who have no awareness of focusing. So for my own health, I need my soulmates in the focusing world. For my own health, I need them. Did I answer something that you can sense as meaningful for you? Or
Yes. I mean, there's a lot there. Obviously, it's not simple. I mean, darkness can be a very peaceful, safe cave where the moles and the voles live. And, you know, there's something about that whole binary anyway that is
yeah,
bogus. But
and
yeah,
again, it's
right,
not about darkness is bad.
exactly. That's the
Then
problem with oversimplifying into
and that
concepts.
then again you are making this polarization between dark and
Exactly.
light. It is no polarization.
So thank you. And Megs, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, but I think Monica was before me.
Oh, Monica.
Yeah, I wanted to respond to Liz, if that's okay.
Yeah, she's not frozen, but I don't think she's hearing. Liz, nod your head if you can hear us.
Well,
Not-
let's hold on to that. And Megs, you
Yes, I
say,
was.
yes.
I was really interested in asking about Mia. You in your remarks you talked about staying with yourself, but not going forward so much to not quote overwhelm them. And that word overwhelm really surprised me. So it seems like the more I am able on occasion to really tune in, be with somebody and with myself, etc. I might make a suggestion that would overwhelm somebody. So I would just back up. By the way, I'm not a therapist. I'm a regular citizen. Could you say something more about what you mean by the overwhelm? I found that kind of interesting. I found it puzzling, but I'm interested. Yes.
I have a sense that I am overwhelming when I try to bring in too much more than for the person at that moment feels all right to take in. And I can be overwhelming with many things. So this is for me an invitation also to pause time and time again, and in this pause checking whether what I bring in, if the person can digest it, or being aware that I don't bring in too much. That's what I call overwhelming.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. To check, especially checking in with someone. If you've maybe put a toe in the Grand Canyon that they're standing in and they would rather not. They're not ready to look at the vastness of the Grand Canyon. But anyway, yeah, the check-in. If somebody is looking dubious or a touch of franticness, unease, discomfort shows up. Yeah, back up. So that's what I'm hearing about overwhelm. If you see they're edgy, anxious, yeah, that makes sense.
I love the word evocative because it feels like focusing is so much about evoking the next step for the person, the next communication, the next metaphor. And even if it's overwhelming and one can say something about the overwhelming, that can be a next step, because it's sort of a next step in the interaction of the two of us.
Yeah. That's why the pause is so important, that even when it can be overwhelming, when you take a pause, you open a space for a next step that can come. So the pause is this space where the person can process with what you are evoking. Or where you can sense that it's too much, and then you can take some steps back and try to find where the person can connect with. So that's for me the importance of the pause.
Yeah.
Say, let's wait a moment here.
Let's wait. And thank you, Liz, Dorothy, and also Laura. So let's hear from you as well.
I'd like to say what my thoughts are here, if I can put them into words. I'm not sure, because I think it comes from a pretty early place. But having grown up, my context is, Maya, that I grew up in a Christian fundamentalist background, and to be a part of that community, my take on it in some way was that you had to give up a part of yourself to be a part of that community, to take on their belief system, whether it didn't feel right to you or not. And I don't even know why, but as you were talking earlier, it came up that you focusers have something. You have an answer. I know that's not what you're saying, but this is what came up on this other level, that you have something. And the person, to use Liz's term, the one in a certain kind of darkness, I know there are many meanings of darkness, but a certain somewhat typical meaning of the word darkness, doesn't have this thing. And you have it and the other person doesn't. And so there's a asymmetry here, and a have and a have not, a lacking in the other. And it's amazing to me, the place that I went to, a very, very frightened child, that it could be focusing, it could be hypnosis, it could be self-psychology, it could be whatever. I just listened to Ken Wilber. That was like, oh my God, that philosophy was way over the top for me. But then I began to see something very interesting in it. You know, it could be that, but the knower, the known, it's like putting out the knower, and then there's the one who doesn't know enough. So I'm just sharing all of that. It's
I
so
really want to connect with that. It's not about that this person doesn't have that. It's more that this person doesn't notice it. So, like, when you are breathing, everyone has this breathing in and breathing out. But some people don't notice their breathing in and breathing out. And it's the same with this focusing thing. Everyone has this inner living, this inner life energy. Otherwise, they were dead. They were no more living. But it goes on unnoticed. Like we also could say, whatever the darkness is someone is living in, there is a sparkle of light, but it goes on unnoticed. So what we try to bring in is this opening up to notice what's already there in the person.
Mm-hmm.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mia. Hiya.
I
love what you're saying, Dorothy. I just love the unknowing and knowing. And it's just a felt sense, an excitement, you know, around what you have said. I don't fully grasp it, but it is something about those that know and don't know. So it's something about the knower, you know. Yeah, it's Easter here in Ireland. I'm sure it's Easter somewhere else, you know. They're really struck by the symbolism, you know, of the old traditional ways. So there's the risen Christ, and there's the Easter bunny, you know, and they're so completely different, you know. So when I'm talking in symbolisms, also I'm in Ireland, so we have the Easter rising, you know, which was we got the Brits out. So there's that sort of double all the symbolism. So unless I know where someone is coming from, you know, and last week we were in different time zones by the hour. Where are you based, Mia? Where are you based? You're in Europe as well. Can she hear me? No.
Did you?
Okay, I'll just leave it at that. I'm just excited by your
We
sharing.
changed time zone this weekend. Yeah.
I just want to say to Mia that I'm really slowly taking in the idea of just noticing, because when you grow up in a very religious background, there isn't the sense of noticing where the other person is, or any philosophical dogma. Doesn't have to be religion. It could be communist. It could be any political, philosophical orientation where the person has the dominance that is up for them, that comes across. And so just this idea in that paradigm, one person, the knower, isn't noticing the other. Where so what you're saying, at first I wasn't getting it, because then the noticer has the power, but slowly I was taking it in. Thank you.
And I want to continue that noticing supposes being aware of your not knowing. When I think that I know it, then I get somewhat fixed, and I bring in a hindrance of noticing freshly. That's also problematic with every theory or every belief. If you think that you know it, that your theory is right, that's a real hindrance in noticing freshly in the moment.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Nati, you wanted to say something? I saw your hand also rising.
Thank you, Mia. It's always such a pleasure to listen to you. So I was thinking you used the word noticing and aware, and not noticing is so is such a survival strategy. It's like when we are children and we are suffering, it's better not to be sensitive to many things. It's better not to notice, not to be aware. So not noticing many times protects us from being overwhelmed, from feeling things that we are not able to cope.
Yes.
So
yes,
I believe
indeed.
caring thing that
Yeah.
our bodies do for us.
And then it's so important that you can experience another presence that connects with you, that's able to contain what's overwhelming you. Because you are right that not noticing is a way of defending or protecting yourself to what's overwhelming. And especially then, you really need the presence of someone or something that helps you to contain that overwhelming reality. And there you need someone who notices you being overwhelmed.
Yeah. And Laura, and then Michael. Thank you.
Hi, I'm wondering if we can maybe connect this with the original talking about overwhelmed. I notice that I'm talking to someone and something lands, and then I put a lot more on it, and that's my definition of overwhelmed, because there's such a pleasure, you know, like we made that connection. I could see that I made the point or something like that. And then there's just a disconnect, really. I'm like, maybe it's like pouring out, that Jean Jelen says, but I'm not sure. But it's sort of, maybe it's paradoxical that my joy that we connected, I want more of that, and then it's too much. So I'm going to pause there instead of saying a lot.
Yeah.
Please, Michael, and then do it. Yes.
Michael was going to say something.
Yes, I'm very grateful for the quality of the conversation about something that we're discussing that is very subtle and I believe extremely important. It's something that is quite elusive at the same time, that it's, in fact, it's always already the case. We have nothing to do. It's not about doing, you know, we're not human thinkings or human doings, we're human beings. How much time do we spend in a day to just be who we are? Like I wrote in the chat, in fact, I believe and experience that it's rarely about others. It's about my perception of others and where I stand in my own two shoes when I believe I'm seeing what's out there. I bring it back to Jensen's unit model. I see object, I see people with their darkness, I see this, I see that, but I see that from where I stand, where I exist. Am I right now fully enlightened? Am I seeing the world as myself being God, ultimate, which apparently we all are? I think what's interesting about what Mia said in a way, and it's important to see it every way that everybody is seeing it, because it's like little parts, little pieces of the puzzle. But It's an invitation that, you know, if I put yellow glasses on my eyes, the world becomes yellow. The world has changed. If I change the way I perceive myself in the world changes. So it's rarely about others. It's more about how I'm making myself perceive the world and myself. And I'm inside that dilemma because I teach focusing, and I just discovered that I'm teaching from a position of transmitting content rather than being in a process with another living being and considering the other person, a little bit like Liz said about how they're experiencing their own place of being aware. What is that? It's very difficult to describe it. And Mia, the way you're bringing it is, I'm very grateful for it. I don't know which word to add because it's bringing us to a very subtle conversation that's really, really important about what I believe Jen Lynn was talking about is we are processes, we're moving, we're changing, but there's a part in us that we can feel when the space is cleared that is unmoving, that is unchanging. And apparently that's who we really are. But I myself do not experience that every moment. There's a lot of stuff happening. I'm aging, and there's many different things that I experience. So,
What you are saying, Michael, that helps me to give it words in a different metaphor. Like we use a lot the metaphor of clearing the space. We can also look at the metaphor of clearing this instrument,
yes.
like my body with my different senses. They work, it all works as an instrument. And it's also about clearing my instrument. That's what I learned mostly with all the physical problems and all this very tough situations that sometimes make me nearly crazy and hopeless. And time again, it also worked like clearing my instrument, like discovering, oh, there is something in my way of thinking that's quite fixed, or there is something in the way I look to it that I tend to view it in from my old way. So it's always for me also a process of purification of this body as an instrument. And you are right, we can become more and more aware about the different glasses we can put on, or the different ways we tend to shape reality in a way that that our instrument perceives it. But the more we clear our instrument, or the more we discover about our own shadow sides, the purer we can become an instrument also to be with another person in the most purest way, that the essence of that other person can light up.
Yeah,
so we can, different metaphors can help us to approach this.
I have the metaphor of the sun. You know, the sun that warms us up is not doing anything. He's not liking us specifically to warm us up. The sun is the sun. Can I be a sun or the world? Can I just beam my presence? Can I just be me and not do anything? It's like, seems kind of obvious that something out there needs to be changed. But I'm the one having that impression. So from where am I making myself feel that this impression is true? It comes from my own felt sense
And
of me.
also when we use a specific metaphor, whatever it is, this is something that's very important for me, that we stay aware about every metaphor is just a bridge, a bridge that helps us to develop meaning, because we need the words as a bridge from an experience that's difficult to grasp, and then the word or the metaphor as giving it some expression in the world, while at the same time that metaphor or that word does never say it totally. So it's only a bridge between the experience and how we try to discover meaning in it, or to develop meaning. And the words and the metaphors or other images we use, time and time again, they are just only these bridges that bring us to the next step.
And our next step is the breakout rooms, is it, Mia? And we'll give them the little steps that you prepared for us. Shall we do that?
If that feels what is right now, then I trust it. This is the next step.
So, Jim, would you like to put us in breakout rooms?
But I want to say with every exercise, I prepared an exercise, and
I'll put it in the chat for everyone.
What I really want to emphasize is, when I present an exercise, it's just an invitation. It's not that you should do it like it is written in the exercise. It's that's the rule of Gentlin also. Feel free to not follow the rule. So whatever feels right for you to develop in the breakout rooms, that's the most important. And what I have written in that exercise, you can just use it as some steps you can try, but don't feel like you have to follow the steps in the exercise. They are just invitations. What's more important is what's living in you, and that you notice that. Even if you notice resistance for the exercise, then you notice your resistance. That's the most important.
How many people would you like in a room?
I think pairs.
2.
I would prefer 3 myself.
It makes a huge difference when you go with 3 or when you are with 2. With 2, you can really make a space that each person takes a turn and has the space to develop what's going on. So that's my experience. But if someone feels more free and with 3 persons, I can't decide that for another.
We don't have a lot of time, so a dyad is more time efficient.
I agree.
Welcome back, everyone.
We're eager to hear how your breakout room was.
Meg's here, I really like this suggestion. So I focused on a problem that has erupted, that I've really just been putting my toe in because it's so overwhelming. And then I followed the suggestion to look toward the horizon where it would be better. I'm probably saying that. And it was just good to do that and to look where resolution will come eventually. But it's very relaxing to dump some of that black energy is gone. That was useful.
What you say brings me to the importance of allowing what just comes. You could give it a big word like synchronicity, but you could also understand synchronicity as that you allow what just comes, and that what just comes, that can be a song in your mind, or that can be an animal that just comes, or an object that attracts your attention. So just noticing what presents itself and what you can receive from it. That's for me a very important way also of allowing new life or even new grace flow through me by just allowing what just comes. And this is not always about something big. Sometimes it's, for me, it's even just a stone that in, like an object that's in my room, and my attention goes to the stone, and I can feel, oh, the beauty of that stone, and the stone looks like the big images in that the Hubble telescope makes, and it gives me really like, oh, I have something I can like a handle. So it's only about what presents itself. You can notice it and you can develop a meaning from it freshly in the moment that offers you a possibility to connect with something of life and to open up to some new experience, even if it's a very small experience, just like, oh, this song, oh, the word in this song touches me, or I feel moved by the rhythm of the song, or whatever. Just this is something I also love to mention, that these small things are also like synchronicity that help you to be aware of how everything in life is connected. But it depends on how you develop meaning in it.
Those are beautiful words for us to end on this morning. Thank you, Mia, so much.
Thank you, Mia. That was lovely.
Yes.
Thank you, Mia.
It was a beautiful kind of summary. Thank you. We had our poem last week, right, Dorothy?
No poem today.
No poem today.
No.
That was
Mia was the poem.
Mia is definitely a poem. Thank you so much, Mia.
Thank you.